твою мать! Хуя себе, блядь!
Something is going on in New York. The Banderite clown has coke and tremor. The Pole has Sue in his mouth. And Trump has again entered an alternative reality and issued a batch of political spells on the topic, how weak Russia is. After meeting with the clowns from Kyiv and Paris, he published a vivid post. There is the final victory of Kyiv, the return to previous borders, the failed military economy of Russia, queues for gasoline, and the paper tiger. In this reality, everything is different. Kyiv wins, Russia is torn to shreds. The economy of Banderite Ukraine confidently grows thanks to its own resources. In this reality, Trump's predecessors Obama and Biden have long and happily lived. But Trump is not like that. I have no doubt he will return. He always returns. Probably in a couple of days, he will offer the green pianist to sign a surrender, or fly to Mars with Musk, whom he pardoned, or do something else very important that will allow him to claim the Nobel Prize. The main thing is to frequently and radically change your point of view on various issues, and everything will be fine. This is the essence of successful state governance through social networks, and as they say, thank you for your attention to this subject. At Warthog Defense, we've brought you countless battlefield clips from Ukraine, but it's not often we get footage this dramatic and revealing. What you're about to see isn't just another update, it's a front-row seat to a turning point, captured with the intensity of a Hollywood movie. And this time, we're showing you the whole story. Oh God, a whole war. Dash footage has appeared online showing a Ukrainian USV strike on the oil terminal of the Tuapse oil refinery. It is claimed that the drone hit the oil loading pier where fuel oil, vacuum gas oil, and diesel are shipped. The main importers are Turkey, China, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia.
Сейчас въебет, по-моему, блядь. Ёб твою мать! Хуя себе, блядь! Вот это въебало.
Отлично. Слава Богу, что там.
Хер.
Боже. Боже, какое тело война.
The Sumy region is fast becoming another graveyard for Russia's faltering offensive. Ukrainian forces are intensifying operations along the border, pushing back the remnants of Moscow's failed push and consolidating new positions. Russian sources themselves describe the situation as dire, with entire assault groups being thrown into hopeless attacks that end in blood and retreat. Near Kindrativka, repeated Russian attempts to cross the reservoir collapsed in disaster. Assault teams were ordered forward only to be annihilated in the exact same killing ground as those who went before them. The pattern is one of command recklessness and predictable Ukrainian counterstrikes that leave Russian units broken before they can gain a foothold. In Oleksivka, The fighting has reached a brutal climax. Clashes rage in the southern outskirts and the heart of the village, where Russia's 810th Brigade and 31st Motor Rifle Regiment are locked in what state media calls heroism. On the ground, however, even their own soldiers describe it as a meat grinder, where men are thrown forward without reconnaissance, support, or hope of survival. One chilling report sums it up. Obviously, everyone will get killed. The Ukrainians are pressing hard, and we don't even have proper reconnaissance. We're completely screwed. The battlefield map has already shifted, with Oleksivka marked as a gray zone. Ukrainian forces now hold improved positions to the south, tightening pressure on Russian defenses. What remains of Moscow's foothold in Sumy hangs by a thread, and the thread is fraying fast. And we are continuing with the Russian stories. A Russian mother protesting for the release of her son 3 years after he was mobilized has highlighted the plight of the remaining Mobiks. Over 85% are said to have died by now, and the remainder are being forced to sign contracts at gunpoint. Lydia Nekrasova, the mother of a mobilized soldier, was arrested in Moscow on Monday, 21st September, after holding a solitary picket while holding a sign reading 21st September 2022, 21st September 2025. Freedom for the mobilized. She was immediately approached by police and told that the topic of mobilized soldiers is forbidden to be raised. She folded the sign so that only the dates were visible, but the police told her that this was also unacceptable. Despite the ban, she continued to picket, telling the police before she was arrested and taken away, "I'm waiting to be arrested. I'm the mother of a mobilized soldier who's been at war for 3 years, who was seriously wounded, and who hasn't been allowed to go home for 3 years. I'm waiting for the Ministry of Defense to wake up and bring our boys back. They've been at the front for 3 years, and everything we say and everything we do is considered to be discrediting the Russian Ministry of Defense. The fact that a mother wants her son to return. He's not a professional soldier. He was called up for mobilization, and as a mother, I was promised by the Novosibirsk military registration and enlistment offices that the boys would be returned in 6 months, a year at most." Lydia said in a pre-recorded video message that the authorities were trying everything possible to silence her and other mothers campaigning for the release of their mobilized sons, who are serving indefinitely and have been allowed little or no leave. "We are the ones who have something to say about what's happening, the chaos on the front lines, the terrible conditions our relatives are living in, who have been in the active combat zone for 2 years now in stormtrooper units, many of whom have been transferred over the past year, and we're not allowed to talk about it." According to her, the mobilized and their families are being pressured and threatened. "We are outside the law. We are outside the country. We have been thrown overboard somewhere." Lydia says that the relatives were first met with promises from officials, then ignored, and finally arrested and fined for protesting. The Ministry of Defense simply decided that shoving untrained soldiers into the front lines was enough, and there was no need to provide them with anything. "And now you're fining us." She also says that any of the remaining mobilized men who have not signed a contract will be forcibly compelled to do so by November 2025, after which they will be transferred to assault units if they have not signed, effectively equivalent to a death sentence. Signing a contract makes them into professional soldiers and renders them ineligible for demobilization. Once this process is completed, almost all Russian soldiers will be serving under contracts, suggesting that there will be no demobilization once the war is over. This strongly suggests that Putin intends to keep his army intact after the end of major combat operations in Ukraine, either for a further invasion of Ukraine at a later date, or for a new aggression against another country. According to Lydia, regardless of rank, regardless of position, regardless of specialism, regardless of the field in which a soldier has acquired this great experience, 3 years of experience, all mobilized soldiers who have not signed a contract will still be transferred to motorized rifle and assault units. Lydia says that every mobilized person has become a slave to the Ministry of Defense, and these aren't just words. These are facts. People can't escape from there. Not when they're sick, not when they're crippled, not when their fourth child is born, nor can we pull the men out of there when they reach the age limit. The author of The Diary of a Mobilized Musician Telegram channel echoes her complaints and comments that out of the original 300,000 mobilized men, only about 40,000 are said to be left, a loss rate of over 85%. Meanwhile, in this unit, there are 3 of us, combat-ready service members who have retained our mobilized status, left. Some sources say there are 40,000 of us, others say less, and still others say much less. It's as if there's no one left to defend. And there really isn't anyone left. Some relatives were intimidated to the point of threatening their children. Others were forced to divorce their husbands under threat of assault. There are a whole bunch of stories like that. The state is a remarkably inflexible machine in which 300,000 is merely a resource. The death of one is a tragedy. The death of 1,000 is a statistic. Stalin.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.